Hi guys, it's Samu from the USC Journal Club, and last week, Daniel D'Souza from Consensus AI reached out to me asking if their company could partner up with our club for the rest of the year. To which I said yes, of course. So this video I'm going to be kind of going over why I said yes, what Consensus is, and how it can be utilized for the remainder of our club's, kind of running year, particularly during the capstone project. Alright, so what's Consensus? Here I have Consensus open, and it basically works like any other chatbot, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever it may be, except that Consensus relies and gives answers based purely on research. And I think that's what's so amazing about Consensus. So let's say I ask a question. Let's say I ask a question based off on the research article we're reading this week. Can blood-based biomarkers be utilized? Or let's say how can blood-based biomarkers be utilized to do preliminary screens for Alzheimer's? Alright, so now you can see that Consensus gave us an overview, basically the general answer, and then if we scroll down, we can have follow-up questions and their results. So let me try breaking this down a little bit from what I've learned so far. Consensus reads through hundreds and thousands of research papers as soon as you ask the question. Credited research papers, and then it basically forms not a singular answer, but a very nuanced and general answer that covers all the main points that it took up from reading all these research papers. So you can see here, this answer isn't just one sentence, it's very multifaceted. And for each, specific section of the answer, there's citations, strengths and limitations, roles, biomarkers. It just basically condenses hours and days of reading into a single answer that you can approach and get started on whatever research that you might be wanting to go into. Then it goes into basically the limitations, the applications, the implications of each research, and how this specific question can be answered in that manner. If you go down, there's always follow-up questions, and the first two are usually going to be deep search, try a deep search, and try as a consensus meter. So I can show you consensus meter and deep search in a second, but let me go down a little bit more first. The results, as you can see here, there's citations, there's direct citations to papers, and you can look more into these. And each citation has various tags on it. This is from a rigorous journal and it's highly cited. 146 citations. This one is a literature review. Blah 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 blah. And going through this really makes it easy for you to just pinpoint specific research papers that you'd like to go into after you form a research question. Another really interesting feature I want to show you is the consensus meter. So the consensus meter is basically, it rephrases your question into yes or no. Can blood-based biomarkers reliably predict early Alzheimer's pathology? If I click on it, it's basically going to give you a meter between yes and no. But like I said, consensus doesn't give you a single sentence. It doesn't just give you a single pinpointed answer. It approaches every research paper and tries to take in all the nuances of the current state of research on this specific topic. So as you can see here, the consensus meter reads yes, possibly, mixed, and no. And for each category of yes and no, it gives you the distribution, which way current research is leaning towards. And this is a great way to just visualize and see the overall state of this research topic right now. Another thing I wanted to mention about consensus was the filter option. And I think this feature is really unique and really helpful actually, because it allows you to choose what type of research that consensus filters through when you ask your questions. So as you can see, you can go look at the stuff from 2 years ago. You can look at the stuff from 5 years ago. Adjust it amount of citations that the research that you'll be getting has. And another really cool thing is the methodology filtering. So you can get research that has, animal studies. You can get literature reviews. You can ask Consensus to only pull data from in vitro studies. So let's say I do an animal study, and I want it to be from the past 5 years. Okay, apply 3 filters, and then let's say I copy and paste my question. Alright, so here it goes, running. Alright, so now it's pulling the research papers just like it did last time, except it's following the parameters you gave it. And as you can imagine, this is really useful. Say you want to do an in vitro study yourself, then you can modify the parameters on Consensus through the filter and see other research papers that have done in vitro studies that are focused on your subtopic as well. Alright, so now I kind of want to go into this extra feature that y'all will have called deep search. And let's say I put in a question, how can deep brain stimulation be used to treat depression? Okay, so now deep search is running. I sped up the video a little bit, but what it's essentially doing is shuffling through all the research that has been done on this question, on your topic of choice. And this racks up to be over hundreds. Mine turned out to be basically 1,000 different papers. And Consensus, after that, writes a literature review for you, personalized to your question, with verified, credited citations. On top of that, it comes up with the consensus meter. It goes through methods, several thousands of methods that were used in countless papers. And you can have all these citations for various, the groups of results that all these different papers got. Here are basically the key papers that Consensus found to be most relatable to your topic of choice. And here are the key authors that have contributed to most of the papers. And this is really nice because you can choose to cold email them, reach out to them, and Consensus has made a list of them just for you. Really, actually, one of my favorite features on the deep search option is the research gaps matrix that it gives you. So I feel like when I personally want to start research, I look through the discussions of countless research papers and articles, and it's tedious, it's hard. But what Consensus does for you is it categorizes the gaps in research of that subtopic and gives it to you in this table format. And depending on this, you could literally just in seconds determine what research you're going to do in the future. Aside from all the cool features that I showed you about Consensus just now, I chose to partner up with Consensus because I feel like their ideals really match the USC Journal Club's ideals. We're the USC High School Neuroscience Journal Club, and we're just all high schoolers trying to get into research. I know some of y'all might have already had countless publications, but for others of you, it might have been your first time ever touching scientific literature this summer. Consensus's goal of making research accessible to anyone was something that I really felt resonated with our club's values, and I hope that y'all will be able to use Consensus during your capstone project and throughout the rest of your research career to help you excel forward. And I know Consensus can really help you shave time off of looking through all the busy work, looking through all these articles, but I also think that's so special because it lets you focus your energy into what you're really passionate about. 30 hours of just looking through Google Scholar became 30 seconds where you can read through a literature review generated by Consensus and see the gaps in literature where you truly find interest. So yeah, I hope you have a good time using Consensus, and thank you for being part of the club.